Okay guys, welcome back. So another quick video where I'm going to demonstrate how to do data science tasks, data analysis tasks using R and R Studio. So this is video 12 in this series, and I'm still covering like the real basics of R. In the previous few videos, we've been just looking at individual functions that you can use to manipulate and tidy your data sets up in R. So very much a focus when you're looking at the basics on tidying and munging, cleaning your data sets in the sort of order that allows you to do an effective analysis of some sort. But what I'm going to do in this video is it's going to be a very quick one, I believe. I'm going to talk about how we can rearrange variables within our data set using this function relocate. Okay, so we might want to change the order that variables are presented in a data set. As I've said a number of times, often you import your own data sets, you collect it, put it on CSVs or spreadsheets or something like that. You import it into a language such as R in order to tidy it up and analyze it. Sometimes the data is not in the order you would like it to be in, or an order that would make sense for whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And often it might be the case as well, you've got like a big data set with lots and lots of features, lots and lots of variables. So rearranging things would be useful to just get it in some sort of presentable fashion. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate that today using this relocate function, and we kind of might want to use this to bring related variables closer together. Okay, so I'll use a built-in data set. I'm going to use the flights data. I've used it, I think, previously in a video, and it comes from this new NYC flights package. But first of all, I'm going to import the tidyverse. That will give us a load of useful packages such as dplyr, ggplot, and others for tidying and visualizing data. The function we're going to use, relocate here, is, I believe, part of the dplyr package. And I'm also going to, it's still, whilst I'm talking, that seems to have run effectively, imported the tidyverse. I'm also going to import the NYC flights package, which contains that flights data set. So let's run view on flights and have a look at that particular data set. Okay, so you can see we've got this little stop sign here because it's still running the command. We've not got our command line prompt back. It's because it's a very big data set, as you'll see when it actually opens in the viewer. It's a big data set and it's got a lot of variables, and I believe the data is it's records of all flights that departed from and arrived at the different airports in New York City in the year 2013. So it's really big, and you can see here it's got 336,776 entries, so a lot of rows, and it's also got 19 total columns, so 19 features or variables. You can see we've got year, month, day, departure time, scheduled departure time, departure delay, arrival time, etc. Mix of numeric and categorical type of variables, and also, I guess, character or string variables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this relocate function to put a couple of variables next to each other, which I think would be most useful. So if you look at flights, we've got departure time here, and we've got arrival time here, and we've got airtime right over here. So you might think, well, those three are they're related variables. It's kind of what time did it leave, what time did it arrive, how long was the flight. Maybe you'd want those columns next to each other. So we could use the flights, the relocate function on flights, and specify that we want those two variables together. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the flights data set, and then I'm using the pipe operator, and then I'm using relocate, and I'm saying take the departure time variable and then the airtime variable. So what I'm saying is put the airtime variable next to where the departure time variable is. So where was departure time? It was we've got year, month, day, and then we've got departure time. So it should bring these two, put these columns next to each other. So if I run that, what you should be able to see. So I haven't saved it as a separate object. So if I had assigned this as a separate object, such as df or something, we could then do viewing it and we'd be able to see the change in that flights data set in the viewer. But if we go up here and look, what you can see, what this has done, the relocate function, is it's brought departure time and air time to the first columns, the first two columns of the data set. So if you remember, year, month, day were kind of the first three columns of this data set. And what we've done using relocate by just specifying these two arguments is we've brought two of them to the start of the data set. And in order, it's saved a kind of image of this here. It's captured the changes we wanted in the data set here. But if we wanted that to be reflected in this actual object here, we'd have to save it as a kind of separate object. So to do that, we'd obviously have to do something like df and the assignment operator, and that would kind of create as a new object here. And if we did view on df, then we'd see the first two rows would be departure time and air time. I've not done that in this case, I just wanted to illustrate how it works. And we can see the printout at the bottom here in the command line. Okay, so let's just do another one as an example as well. So let's take flights again, and then we'll use the pipe operator, relocate, and I want to put all three of those airtime, kind of departure time, airtime, air arrival. I think that those three variables, having them next to each other in my data set, is much more useful because they're kind of related in some time. The departure time and the arrival time are related to air time, essentially. So let's run this command here and we'll get a similar sort of thing. And you can see if we look below there, it's run the command that we asked it to run, and then it's printed like a copy of the data frame with this relocate change that we asked it to make, or it's given us this tibble data frame essentially. Departure time, air time, arrival time, they're the first three columns that we're seeing now. And as I said before, if we wanted that to be reflected in the data set so we could keep calling it in some way, then we'd have to actually save this as an object. So we'd have to say df and then assign it and then run that again. Okay, so I could do that now just to kind of demonstrate. Let's run that command. You see we've got a df up there, and if we then do view df, it might take a little while because it is a big data set, so it takes it a while to kind of to create the table and present that to us. And you can see here, you can always tell when it's still running because you don't have your command prompt back and you've got this like stop indicator right here. So there we go. There's our df, and there are our three variables we wanted to be together. Relocate was simple enough. There are probably ways you could place them in other locations in the data set as well, but this was just a kind of real simple introduction. Using relocate has basically just given them priority and put them as the first few columns within our data frame. Okay, right, that's it for this video. A quick one, quicker than it usually takes me to record these because I say far too much and keep talking for too long. But I hope this was helpful. What we've done here is use that relocate function to kind of gather together different variables, put them at the beginning of the data frame, where variables that we think might be related in some ways, and I use that in that built-in flights data set to demonstrate that. Okay, hope this has been useful. Thanks for watching and listening, and I'll record another one of these videos very soon.